Hi guys! So with this video I am going to be talking about my personal BMT experience. So there's probably going to be a lot of drama, and if you just love drama, you love being in the middle of it or hearing about it, this is your video. If not, then I'm sorry, just try to focus on the facts. So I went into BMT over a year ago, so some things I can't quite remember, but I'll try my best. So I left for BMT on April 4th. BMT lasted 8 weeks, and okay, technically it lasted 9 weeks because there's a 0 week and they count that as 0. But the first night that, like, even on your plane ride there, you gotta have your reporting statement memorized. You need to have the Airman's Creed memorized. And the Air Force gives a certain group a certain amount of money to where you're able to eat at the airport before you report into Lackland, the basic training. So with my group, we ate at Charlie's Philly cheesesteak, and we were on it. We were on time and all that. But it didn't matter if you were on time, because they still yell at you. They yell at you immediately before you even get out of the airport. They're like, okay, sign this. Sign the highlighted areas and sit down. Shut up. Some people can't even follow that direction. Sometimes people just go up there and be like, what do I do? Where do I sign? It says the highlighted area. You sign the highlighted area. Just have logic, please. And then as soon as you sit down, pointed in the direction that you were supposed to sit. So you go sit over there. And a lot of people, they ended up pulling out their phones and telling their families that, you know, they landed safely and that they're safe and all that sort of stuff. Don't do that. Don't do that. You will have a point later on to where you'll be able to tell your families that you are safe, but it is scripted. Anyway, so they tell you to sit down and wait till everybody is there. So just sit down, shut up. Then a couple minutes passed, and then they tell you to go outside. There is a bus waiting. So you grab all your stuff, and you go outside, and you gotta run outside in a single file line, and get on the bus in a single file line. And then while you're on that bus, I would highly recommend trying to memorize your reporting statement and the Airman's Creed again, because under pressure you will forget it. I did. I forgot my reporting statement multiple times. Like, I didn't say anything, I just stayed quiet, and I'm just like, what did it... So then, let's see. So with our instructor, I loved our instructor. He was harsh, but it was good harsh. As soon as we got there, we had to make our beds, and then we had to place our luggage on top of our locker, and then I'm trying to remember it all, and I just can't. All that I remember afterwards is to where we had to march over the gate, or not over the gate, over a bridge, and then after we marched over the bridge, then you had to march just a little while longer, and then take a left, and then you're at the clothing unit, to where that's where you get your uniform. But it is so quick. You have to be so quick, but also you have to be sure that that is your size. When you walk in, they'll try to tell you what they think your size is, And you're able to say, like, no, this doesn't fit. Because most of them usually aren't military, but some of them are. So they tell you what they think your size is. You go try it on, and they have like it's like a grid on the floor made of tape. So you have to stand in your little square. You gotta undress yourself, and you gotta try it on. And if it's good, then you go to the back of the room, and then you have to be in a line saying like, yes, this is good, and you have to still have it on so that they can see that like, yes, okay, it is good. And if it is good, then you go back outside, and you get all your sand tees, your socks, your PT shirts, PT shorts, your socks. What's funny is that they give you a pack of underwear, but I do not recommend keeping those. They are just so poor quality. And they just, you know us girls, they aren't flattering. They're not flattering. I call them granny panties. They're granny panties. So, yeah, then you have to carry all of that. They give you your duffel bag at that point. So then you have to carry your duffel bag, and you go back to your dorms, and then, or not your dorms, your squadron, your bunks, whatever you want to call it. So you have to march back there, and then you have to hang it a certain way, like the belt. You have to have the two loops together, and then you have to have one loop in the back, and then that's the top of the pants, and then it has to be completely straight, and then the two loops where the buckle is has to be faced towards the door while it's folded over to where the pants side is on the right of the locker, but it's also facing the doorway. It's difficult. It took me a long time to get that. But the shirts, the blouse tops, they're a lot easier. And most of y'all is going to be switching to OCPs anyway. I still have not gotten mine, so good for you. That's probably easier for you guys. So, and with the blues, it's the same thing. It's tricky. And when you go in for your fitting for your blues, it is overwhelming. Because us females with the skirts, so, you know my wife, Ruby, she's not really a girly girl skirt person. When I first talked to her, she said that in skirts, she looks like a 12-year-old boy. She was not kidding. So that was really interesting to see, and what really sucks is to where they have to have it a certain length to where it has to be a certain length from your knee, but then it has to be completely level in the back, but then it also has a tiny slit in the back to where you're able to walk, not like a penguin. So it's all over the place. So they have you like try it on at least 3 times just to see if they got it right this time or not. And then same with the jacket. They have to have the sleeves a certain length, and then it has to be straight across, and then it has to be good with your shoulders, and then all that sort of stuff. With the pants, it's also a little tricky because they mostly mess with the bottom of the pants to where you have to wear your blue shoes with it so that they can see where it needs to be to cover the laces and all that sort of stuff. And then, let's see. Oh, they hand you, okay, us girls, they hand you the probiotic, a women's multivitamin. I never took mine. You're supposed to, and most of the time they do find out. It's just, I don't know why they didn't with me. And then sooner or later, everybody has to get these shots unless you are medically unable to. such as you're allergic, or actually I think that's the only way. If you're allergic to it, then you really can't get it. Otherwise, you're getting it. What's funny is that when Ruby and I went through, they didn't have the shot available, so then they gave us these pills that we had to take over a certain amount of time. And so we had a friend. We like to call her our mama. She was our mama. So she would remind us to take it because her and I are both horrible on taking our meds. We're just horrible. So our friend Salvage, we called her Savage because she's savage. She would remind us to take our meds, and if she asked, like, hey, did you take your meds? And then we had that, like, you know how, like, a child, if you ask them if they brush their teeth, they're just like, That was us with our pills. So yeah, it was, you have a lot of fun in basic while you can. You learn to live without technology, without your phone. But those times to where you do get those like 5 minutes with your phone, just calling your parents, saying that you're okay. It's nice. And everybody is in one big classroom. Usually you're like every other seat there's a person. So you're able to hear everybody else's conversation, which sucks. But it's worth it. You get to talk to your family, which is nice. So a lot of times people got off the phone while they're just still crying. But usually there's an instructor or an MTI in the front of the classroom to where they're counting down like 5 minutes, or they count down 5, 4, 3, 2, and at that 0, you better have hung up. If you didn't hang up, you're losing time next time. So that sucks. I have to share this only because I think it was the best part of basic. So Ruby and I, we shared a lot. I told her things that I didn't tell anybody else. And I don't know about her, but I'm happy that I actually had the courage to go up to her. And half the time, so there are 4 rows, at least in Disneyland. That's what we were called. The 331st. So there's 4 rows of beds, and she was in the row directly across mine. So I could see her every day, and I loved seeing her wake up. I don't know why. But, usually every night we had maybe 5 minutes, of free time. And other people, they would just talk amongst their friends, or they would write letters. Keep in mind, if you write letters, you have to have it in your locked drawer. Do not have anything else in anywhere else that is not supposed to be in your locker except in your drawer. Anyway, so usually at those 5 minutes at the end of the day, Ruby and I would sit on the floor. She would be leaning against her locker. I would lean against her bed. So then we're like face to face, sort of. And we would just talk. We would talk about how it was before we entered military, and then what happened to us. Because you have 341s. And if you get one of those pulled, you got in trouble. So we talked about if we got 341s pulled. The way her and I met is pretty funny too. We got in trouble for the same thing. We had a piece of paper and a shelf in our locker that was not in our drawer. So we got in trouble for it. It's called a U, unsatisfactory U, for the week of training. And that's how we met, because we had a witness for each other. So I just thought that was funny. And then, let's see. So yeah, every night we would talk. And it was nice. There were times to where I would write in my journal and I would just have her read it. Because there were things to where it sucked saying out loud. Especially when you don't know who's listening in the background. So yeah, it was fun. I was on latrine duty. So, bathroom. That's what they call a bathroom there. Latrine. I usually clean toilets and the sinks. Every once in a while I'd help out with the showers. But they found out that I could sing. So then, almost every day, we would end up singing Disney songs while we sang. Just to make it fun. There was this one night it was really fun because we made our own radio station in the dorm, and it was fun because an entire bay, you have 2 bays, which are 2 rows. 1 bay is 2 rows. So we had 1 bay completely all singing. And I came around into the other bay, and then I'm like, hey, I know this song, what about this? And then I started singing it because they didn't know how to have it, start. So I would start it for them, and they're like, oh, you can sing! So I thought that was really funny. So yeah, we would just randomly sing. It was fun. When you go eat, don't say a word. Don't speak at all. When you're outside, under the atrium, in formation, wait for your row to be called, and then you march. Because if you don't wait, then the MTI will make you all come back and try it again. Yeah. And then once you're in there, there's a dessert. It's not in the line that you go to get the rest of your food. It's in front of the MTI table. So if you go there, you have to have your facing movements on point. You have to have them good. And usually they can tell when it is a 2nd weeker or if it is a 7th weeker. They can tell very easily. I only got dessert maybe twice while I was in BMT. Because even right when we were graduating, I was still terrified. But it was good. The food wasn't horrible. It really wasn't. Us Air Force people, we get salt and pepper, and we get good stuff. Then once you hit your graduation, you'll start practicing all these sorts of facing movements. You'll be doing fun runs and all that sort of stuff. Which, the fun run, it actually is fun. You have the superintendent saying Jody's right next to you. It's really fun. Because then you start singing, I'm motivated, dedicated, innovative. So yeah, singing Jody's, I absolutely love singing Jody's. They are like the weirdest thing ever. One is like, ooh, I got a yo-yo! So yeah, Jody's, they're really fun runs. And then during your graduation, that's when your family can see you. And while you're doing your run, you pass by them twice. And then later that day, that's when you get the Airman's Coin ceremony. And that's when you are just standing information. You get your Airman's Coin. You take, shake, salute. And then what's funny is that parents can be mean. This is the meanest that they can be at this point. Because they can go up to you and you can't move until they touch you. They can keep you standing there just for a little while longer. They can keep doing weird stuff to you and it doesn't matter. Okay, they can make weird faces to you. But you can't move. Can't smile. Can't laugh. Not until they touch you. My mom, she came up to me and she was like, would it be incredibly mean if I just stared at you for a little bit? I really just wanted to be like, yes, that would be terrible. But she hugged me immediately after she said that, so it was all good. And then after you graduate, you go to Airman's Week, which really explains on what your duties are as an airman in the Air Force, what you see, what is good, what is wrong, and that's usually where you make most of your friends anyway, because that's when you start getting to nobody as a person. You're able to. It's a little bit more relaxed, but still in basic training. Remember that there are still rules. They put you in educational groups, and they just teach you on, like, with this scenario, you can only leave a certain amount of time within your base. Say that you can only be an hour away from your base, and then after that, you have to take leave. Well, a woman, her daughter is 2 hours away, but she doesn't have any leave available. Does she still go see her? Or would she take the risk and possibly not get caught? It's scenarios like that, to where as an airman you would think, no, don't take the risk. But you know, most of the time they take the risk anyway, just so that you can see the repercussions, to where, yes, she would go to her daughter's and her car would break down. So then she'll have to tell her boss, and then her boss would take leave from her and pick her up. So, yeah, it teaches you the really obvious things. And then, near the end of Airman's Week, that's when it'll become the most painful, because you'll be leaving a bunch of good friends. They start separating you the day before that you have to leave into groups, because certain groups have to leave at certain times, because like security forces, they get to leave at like 7:30 in the morning, let's say that. While dental assistant, we had to leave at 6. I can't remember the exact time, I'm just saying a time. So all dental assistants, they leave earlier, they just leave. They go downstairs, they wait for their bus to come, and then they may or may not see their friend again. I was lucky enough to see Ruby walk by. She didn't see me, but I saw her walk by. And so, yeah. After Airman's Week, you're in the Air Force. You go operational, and that's when it all gets real. You do your job. If you don't do your job well, they'll tell you what you're doing wrong. They'll tell you to correct it. You'll go through more training to make yourself better. Not like BMT training. This is where you get to know a person, as who they are. In BMT, it's all about following directions. So just do what you're told. If you don't do what you're told, you'll have repercussions. And It'll feel like the end of the world. But I promise you, it's not. So if you're planning on joining the Air Force, I highly encourage it. It's the best thing that's happened to me. It's how I got my wife. How I got my job. This is my first job ever. And I love it. And so, I'll say try your best. Follow directions. Be in shape, please. Please be in shape. And just do your best. Want to be better. And it'll all be good. Alright. Bye, guys. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment. And just let me know. Alright. Bye.